The latest episode of The Ugly Truth is brought to you by lipandclip.com. It's time for self-care, everybody. Super affordable, from masks to cleaning products to cosmetics, a lot of skincare products that we all use every day. Check it out, lipandclip.com. Thanks for supporting the Uggs. Enjoy the show. Welcome to The Ugly Truth. This is episode 498. Ugh. Okay, so before we get into, I want to hear all about your teen hygiene antics. And before I tell you about the great rat invasion, or Eddie, if we want to talk about Eddie Van Halen at all, which I have one story about Van Halen I want to tell you about.
Okay.
I have a quiz kind of thing. Remember when we were kids and we would do Would You Rather? Before it became trendy to do, me, you, and Allison and Stephanie would try to force each other to pick through two different terrible options.
Oh, yeah. Before that, it was like the Marry, Fuck, Death or something like that.
Yeah, but it would be like...
Marry, Fuck, Death. It was like Marry... What is that thing called?
It's Marry, Fuck, Kill, but no.
Oh, right.
Well, we did do that.
We had our own version. We did that forever.
Forever. So it'd be like, would you rather throw up for 3 days or would you rather have diarrhea for 3 days? You know, pick one. And then Stephanie would always be like, I would rather escape and get antibiotics. And it's like, no, you can't do that.
That's not an option.
You have to pick one of them. So anyway, I found one for women only.
Oh.
Ready? Here we go. Here's the first one. Play along, listeners. Would you rather have to wear in a painful pair of new shoes all day or walk around all day in mom jeans that are riding up your crotch?
Shoes. I've done that, though. So, I mean, that's nothing.
Shockingly.
Are you kidding me? I do that all the time. Like, whenever I get... What shoes aren't new and painful?
Here's something interesting. I picked the same thing. 52% of the women who took this quiz would rather have crotch jeans.
That's disgusting.
I'm telling you.
Okay, not only are they mom jeans, but they have a crotch issue.
You would have like the biggest camel toe of them all. It would be awful. Ugly. And you would look literally like a camel.
Usually uncomfortable, like hard shoes. They probably look fantastic. They're just inexpensive, but they resemble some sort of designer shoe. So they're just made with like fake leather or plastic. And so... But they look fantastic if you like, as long as you're getting up from your desk and you're walking like straight and fashionable.
Yeah.
Even though, you're like pouring blood into your shoe.
Well, not only that, but if you're wearing shoes like that to work, you're sitting down a bunch. So you can take them off and give yourself a break. You don't have to.
I never did that. I can't.
Well, you can lift your heel and pull out.
Well, yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Okay, here's number 2. Would you rather have a UTI like sting pee whenever you pee? So like every time you pee for a month, it would, or have really bad period cramps for 3 months.
Period cramps.
Me too. I said the same thing. Paula, I can't take a UTI for even a day.
You know why? Because
I've
UTIs can turn on you so fast. And I've actually had one where it started like itching a little bit, burning in the morning. Yeah. By that nighttime when I went to the med clinic, I was literally peeing blood. And I was just like... Yeah. There's just a pain not like that. I can't even explain it. And it's not even remotely close to like labor, period,
no,
anything.
It's terrible. 64% of the women who took this quiz agree with us. They would much rather have period cramps. We've all had the UTI. It sucks ass.
Period cramps are kind of like labor pains. Like they're horrid, but you can do it.
You can gut it. There's drugs. There's bed. There's a heating pad. You can get through it.
Right.
Okay. Would you rather? Okay. This one I struggled with for a minute, but I did answer it. Would you rather wear the same dirty thong for 3 days in a row or not be able to wipe after peeing all day and not have a chance to change your underwear?
Probably not wipe after peeing all day.
I said the same thing.
I couldn't do the thong. That just makes me... I just instantly feel like I smell an itch and I just...
3 days, Paula. Can you imagine putting
that butthole? No.
Paula, can you imagine putting that crusty thong on day 3?
Well, because here's the thing: is like it doesn't matter how much you wipe, you still excrete, and you just can't get past that.
Well, guess what? 53% of the women who took this quiz would rather wear a dirty ass thong for 3 days.
Shut up.
Hi, Paula. I swear.
Why? Urine is sterile.
There is no explanation. It's just a poll. It's gross. It's gross. Okay, here's the next one. Would you rather have itchy pubes but not be able to scratch them? Oh my God, that's the worst. Or feel an eyelash in your eye but not be able to get it out?
Itchy pubes.
I said eyelash.
Oh God, I can't. I hate things in my eye. I can't. Like, I'm instantly like, my eye just shuts and I'm blind. I'm like, I'm blind. I can't even stand a fuzz. Like, I will sit there with my eyelids stretched out like 3 inches, or my bottom lid stretched out 3 inches, turned to the side, so if I can just catch a glimpse of light,
anything,
to see if I can see it, or I'll pull out my eyelashes. I'll pull out my eyelashes so much I pull off my mascara just to find the fucking lint. And then once I feel it, I'm like, ugh. I'm like, sweet release.
I did that the other day. I don't know what got in my eye. I swore it was an eyelash, and I removed all of my eye makeup. It was all over my hand because I'd been rubbing so hard. I finally took a shower and got it out. I mean, it was...
From your eyelash?
Yes, it was brutal.
Yeah, you won't have an itchy pube. Okay.
61% would rather have itchy pubes. So I'm in the minority there. Would you rather rip off a hangnail or pull out an ingrown hair on your bikini line?
Oh, ingrown hair anytime.
Same. And 67% of women agree. So I can't... Who are these 33% who'd rather rip off a hangnail? Are you insane? That's ridiculous.
Probably the people who are like full bush and just don't even know what's in there.
Would you rather take out a dry tampon, which is pure hell, by the way, or
God,
rip off a pad that's gotten stuck to your pubes?
A pad? I mean, my God. Have you ever ripped out a dry tampon?
Yes, I have.
It's like a hotel hand towel shoved up there with like bar soap. And
I just assume that this is what dry anal rape must feel like. It's awful. It's terrible.
Dry. You know what? I don't know. Yeah, that's pretty close because there is no natural like lubricant in there unless you have diarrhea or something. I mean, my God.
Yeah, and I've done that where a couple of things this is how this happens. One, you underestimated how heavy your flow is going to be, so you put like a super in instead of a regular.
Or you think you're still on and you're not, and then you're going to pull out. You're like, bleh! It's kind of like it's almost
being
the same
gutted.
feeling of a big blood clot, but a dry one.
It is terrible. It is awful. It is awful.
One time I felt like I thought I tore a labia or something on the way out. I'm like,
yeah.
God, am I okay?
Is that spotting me or my lip?
Exactly. I'm like, that looks like red blood. Is that fresh?
Oh my God, that's bright red. Oh no, I've ripped something.
Like after you've been constipated, you wipe, you're like, is that because of what I just did? Or do I have rectal bleeding or what? What is this?
I know.
Did I just tear my own asshole going poop?
Oh God. I need more fiber. Okay.
Something.
Would you rather, this one isn't really, this was like a lay down. Would you rather catch your nail on your razor while shaving, which I've done, which I
hate that though.
It pisses me off, or accidentally pinch your skin while tweezing a hair?
Pinch your skin?
You'd rather pinch your skin?
Yeah.
I said catch your nail.
Oh God, I hate that feeling. It's
yeah,
like
81%. 81% agree with you. Me and the 19% over here would rather catch your nail on your razor. So.
I mean, it's a quick pinch and you're already like, I feel like you already do that anyway. Especially, God, when you go to the nail place and they tweeze your brows. Ooh. It hurts so bad. I don't know what the fuck they're doing up there.
I think they just personally enjoy it.
I feel like they're doing that microblading shit. I feel like when I come out, I've just had my brows attacked by Edward Scissorhands. You know,
well, that's probably why I look like Frankenstein.
I'm afraid to look in the mirror. I'm like, is there anything left?
That's why I look like Frankenstein when I leave getting my brows done.
That reminds me of the time where I took Stephanie to get her eyebrows waxed with me. She was like the reverse of Frankenstein. The only thing that like her whole eyebrow section was bright red.
She's like, does this look okay?
But when we went to go eat afterwards, she's like, let me see your mirror. She's like, oh my God, Paula. She's like, you said it didn't look bad. I'm like, well, it doesn't look that bad. She's like, my whole forehead is red and swollen.
You know what? And when Stephanie Stephanie cries, her eyebrows get red anyway. So it's
she's so vain, and I forgot how vain she is. And,
she is.
You know, after a certain point, I'm just like, vanity just kind of fades, man.
Not for all of us.
Especially it's just like, when there's so many other flaws, the brows are the least of my worries.
Right.
Which is why I stopped getting them done, because I'm just like, with everything else that's going on, my brows are not going to save anything.
It's not going to go, she's a total mess, but you know what? Her brows are on point.
Her eyebrows are fantastic.
I mean, if anything, if she's anything, she's got great brows.
If you've got a front butt or something like that, no one's going to notice your eyebrows.
Not at all.
Save yourself $12.
If you're wearing your mom jeans and you're giving yourself a front wedgie, no one cares. Okay, would you rather? This one was hard, and I will tell you why, because I don't want to speak for you, but I have experienced both of these, and I was just trying to think which one was worse. Would you rather be constantly pooping on your period or passing loads of blood clots on your period?
Blood clots.
Yeah, I struggled with this one, but 63% of us agree that blood clots would be better than the constant pooping. I mean, can you imagine going to the bathroom and always pooping for 7 days in a row? I mean, your butt would be so sore.
I'm having the weirdest period right now because I keep waiting for, usually after day 1, maybe day 2, then I get into full gush mode. Oh. That hasn't happened. And I'm like, maybe the last one was just super bad. I don't know. But this one's just kind of like, and I'm just like, are you toying with me? Like, are you fucking with me? Are you going to just one day, explode? Or is this going to go on for 2 weeks? What's going to happen here? Right. But I haven't had the giant poop. I don't know if that happens to you, but after I get my period, within 24 hours, I have everything that I've ever eaten in the last 2 weeks. All of a sudden, it's just
came out.
Bleh.
Yes. Yes.
I'm like, why have you been holding on to this? But it's the same thing when you're pregnant. It's like as soon as you get pregnant, you start pooping gravel and everything that it holds on to everything else.
Yeah,
so.
I actually know when. First of all, for me, heavy flow is day 2, and it's to the point where I'm just like, don't talk to me, please don't make me move. I'm just gonna lay here because I'm literally going to the bathroom to change my sanitary products every 3 hours. I
can't even shift positions before. I've it's been so bad that I've actually even while covered, I've shifted positions on the couch, and all of a sudden it's just it's spilled over out of my clothes onto the couch, and I'm just I just moved.
Yeah, that's happened to me, but I can always tell when I'm going to start my period because the day of I have a massive poop. Massive, and I'm like, what the hell? It's my upper lip is wet. What is the deal? That was really stressful.
It's called the period poo.
Yes. So would you rather have that every day for 7 days or 5 days or whatever? Or would you rather have blood clots? I hate blood clots. They make me scared. I get scared when I get them.
I know. I don't know why I always look to see is there a baby in there?
You're like
was I pregnant?
Did that just? What was that? That looks almost human form. Yeah. Okay, would you rather go commando in a skirt for 3 days or go commando while wearing the same dirty jeans for 3 days?
A skirt? Good
Word. God. Why would anybody? It was 50. Heck. Paula, 50,
if I had 50. A boyfriend, that could be fun.
And who says I haven't done that? I mean, come on.
That's what I'm saying. Come on. Who hasn't gone on date night with a jean skirt and no panties? Or
3 days in a
got
row.
into the bathroom and came back and be like, here, can you hold these? And then you hand them their underwear. They're like, what? They're like, oh, sure. Then they look in their hands. They're like,
yeah, 50.
Have you ever done that?
No.
You should.
No, thank you.
Go to the bathroom, come back, they're paying the bill or something. They're like, can you hold this for a second? And then they go like, yeah, sure. You give it to them and they open their hands and it's your undies. And they're just like,
if I'm ever single again, I will consider it. But
why wouldn't you do that to Dub?
I don't know.
I know why. You don't wear underwear when you guys go out.
I do. All right. Anyway.
You're already a whore.
Shut up. Anyway, 50-50. 50% of the women would wear crusty jeans for 3 days.
That's disgusting.
I don't know who these women are. It's they're probably thinking, oh, well, I'm not that dirty, so it's no big deal. And I'm like, yeah, whatever, bitch.
Well, they just said a skirt. It doesn't have to be a short skirt.
No, that's what I'm saying. It could be a maxi dress, for God's sake. Who cares? Okay, would you rather get your hair stuck in the back of the hairdryer? Brutal.
No.
Or
I already know the answer to that one. I've had that done.
Yeah.
Stephanie actually had to untangle me one time. We were in a hotel.
I always panic.
And I was like, It was one of those shitty hotel blow dryers.
Getting your hair stuck in anything like electrical is really frightening. Or would you accidentally zip up a bit of skin while putting on a tight dress?
I've done that.
I've done both of these things.
I do that all the time because I'm constantly trying to fit into things that don't fit.
I mean, they're both cringy to me, but I would definitely go with a dress.
Absolutely.
60% of us say yes on the dress. Okay, this one made me laugh, and this is the final one. Would you rather have a fart bubble in your labia that you can't wiggle out, or have a wedgie at the front that you can't pull out?
The wedgie.
I can't imagine having a queef that will not release. That sounds horrible.
Any kind of possibility of a flatulent anything, bubble, fart, queef, anything that could snap, pop, crackle, anything. I can't have any noises coming from that direction. So I will let it ride for however long, even if it gets to the point of a UTI or yeast infection. It's going to happen.
I agree.
I refuse to have a noise come from that direction.
63% would rather have a queef.
Why are people so comfortable with that?
I don't know. I don't know, man. And then there are some comments, but anyway, like this one woman who clearly voted differently. She's like, do people actually wash their jeans after one use? It ruins them. And then the other person goes, but they smell in the crotch. I have to.
What are they doing in their jeans?
I don't
know. I washed mine maybe after 2 times, but it also depends on what I've done. Many times I do wash them after one use because I've inevitably spilt something on them or, sat in something or, whatever. But that's just because I'm, B. But I also don't know how long they've been wearing them. I only wear mine maybe for a couple hours or something like that.
Oh, jeans? Yeah. I don't.
Yeah. Well, and then I hang because I go out and then I come back. I don't go anywhere. I'm
not working on the railroad, for God's sake.
Exactly. So then I come back in, I hang mine up and then usually before I put them back on, I probably toss them in the dryer with a dryer sheet just to freshen them up a little bit. And then I put them on. But after that, I'm like, I've probably worn these 2, maybe 3 times. So, but again, like I said, just for a few hours at a time, and then I'll wash them. But mostly because they get stretched out in the ass, and I don't have an ass, so I don't want to walk around, with I don't know, paper mache butt, and so I wash them so they'll tighten back up. But yeah, I've never washed my pants because of an odor. That's never happened.
If I did, I would not tell anyone about it.
I've never had to wash anything because of an odor. I just wash it because I'm like, it's probably just time to wash this.
I know. Anyway, so we successfully completed the quiz. The rest of the comments, they were triggered by the fact that we were talking about the crotchal region. And one woman said she calls her front wedgies veggies. So there you go.
Wow.
I thought it was funny. I liked it. I thought it was a funny little thing.
No, that's interesting.
Yeah. It's interesting what women will have when you're made to choose. I would like to see a guy version, and we'll ask producer Deb.
They'd be all about farts and poops. So
yeah, but those are easy for them. They'd be like, "Oh yeah, that'd be hilarious." But it's like,
I don't know. I guess
would you rather zip up your sack in a zipper or have a booger hanging out on a first date?
I guess it would be like, would you rather have to tell a woman I love you during sex to keep going? Or would you rather have to meet her parents to know that you would have to get laid that night? And they'd be like, oh,
Yeah.
That would be a good one.
I'm sure we could come up with 11 would you rathers. Let's do that. And then we'll ask to producer Deb. Okay.
Well, no, don't ask him because
who are we gonna ask?
You have to face him later that night. We'd have to ask randos, random stranger, not random,
okay,
guys
so
we know.
We'll have to figure out a way to put that together and see about doing it on social media.
Well, we have guy friends that we have no connection to that would be happy to participate. Well,
but I would like to see.
We've tried that before, and they were just I don't know.
I want multiple. Well, anyway, all right, something to think about for sure. Anyway, I take great delight in watching you wander into the next phase of parenting because I've already done it. So I really enjoy watching you suffer through this time, which is middle school. and early stages of high school, because with that comes not only the attitudes, but also the odors and the hygiene. It goes one of two ways. Sometimes guys get really over the top with their Axe body spray and ridiculous cleanliness, or they don't care, and shockingly, the little girls tend to be dirtier for some reason.
That's what it is this week. It's actually my daughter. Oh. You know, it's the funny thing, and I'm starting to discover this, and I don't know if she's just doing this to be sneaky or if this is just how it is with girls. Because of the grade she's in and because of all this homeschooling, I don't really get to see many girls her age. But when I do, I don't realize how much tinier she is compared to other girls her age.
Oh yeah, she's a little waif of a human.
Like she still looks like a small child. And so, but when I see other girls her age, I'm like, they are looking like borderline like preteens, like teenagers.
Yeah.
And I still treat her like she's a baby or a child.
Right.
But then when we have like, you know, discussions about things, she's very deep. She's a deep individual with deep thoughts. She's very insightful.
So maybe you're
She's
underestimating.
eloquently spoken. Yes. So I definitely underestimate.
Yes.
Like
because of her size,
physical shape versus her mentality.
Sure.
And
so she's preteen. She just doesn't look it.
So that's been a little surprising to me. So I'm just like, has she been punking me like this whole time? like I don't want to be like that couple that like adopts an adult person who portrays to be a child because they're like a dwarf or something like that, you know?
Right.
Anyways, I treat her, you know, like that, but not realizing she's probably, you know, very, very mature for her age. She just like plays into that because she likes being treated like a little kid.
Sure.
Like a baby. And so she, a while back, she had fallen and she had chipped her 2 front teeth.
Right.
And ever since then, I hadn't been paying that close of attention, but she likes to cuddle and sit next to me. And I noticed, and I looked at her front teeth, and I'm like, Olivia, I'm like, did you brush your teeth today? She's like, I did. I'm like, I don't think you did. And she's like, why? I'm like, your front teeth are dirty. And she's like, I brushed them. And I'm like, okay. I'm like, let's go to the bathroom. I'm like, I want to see how you brush. She like barely grazes the toothbrush on her front teeth because she's so afraid to touch them.
Oh.
And I'm like, Olivia, I'm like, your gums are going to get infected and gross. I'm like, those teeth, the little partials that you have are going to die.
Yes.
And I said, then those little chips that are filled in won't even matter because the other part's just going to fall out. So I drew a picture and then she started crying. She's like, I don't want my teeth to fall out. I'm like, then brush.
Then brush your teeth.
So we went in. I brushed her teeth. I said, this is how I want you to brush your teeth. And so, of course, you know, she's sitting there crying. And then she's like, is that blood? And I'm like, yes, it's blood, Olivia. I'm like, your gums are bleeding because
you're not brushing them.
There's bacteria in there and it's infection and, you know, all this stuff. And so after she was done, her mouth was like, all open and drooly. And, you know, and she's staring in the mirror and she's like got, you know, tears in her eyes. So I'm like, Olivia, I'm like, you're not traumatized. I just brushed your teeth.
Yes.
I'm like, if you don't like it, then do it yourself.
Really?
So this was a while back. And after I did that, I'm like, look how bright your teeth are. Amazing, you know?
It's amazing what cleanliness looks like.
So anyways, a little while has passed and I noticed that we were starting to get back to the not great brushing habits. So I'm just like, you know what? Like, let's just do this. And so on Amazon, remember when we were little and we would go to the dentist and we get our teeth cleaned and they'd make us chew those little purple pills would show us where we were missing parts? I bought those on Amazon. I bought them for her, but when I told her what I was explaining to her what they were doing, everybody around came into the kitchen because they were all intrigued by these purple pills. And so she made everybody eat them. So some night last week, we all chewed these purple pills. Well, first we all went and brushed our teeth. Then we all chewed the purple pills. And then it became a competition, like who had the least amount of plaque in their teeth.
Sure. And everything's a contest in your house.
It is. And so we were all in the mirror looking at our teeth and we were surprised at the areas that we were missing. Everyone's sitting there with, you know, blue and purple bows and she saw, you know, where she had areas to still work on. We saw where areas. And then, of course, Victor and Ryan are like pulling their gums and teeth way back. They're like, look at this part in the rack. I tell you. So if you're interested in a pastime, order the purple pills on Amazon. I think they were like $5. So
Good.
So we're working on that. And then the subject came up of, we're sitting on the couch and she's just like, Mom. I'm like, yeah. She's like, how old were you when you started shaving your legs? And I'm like, well. So I said, I think I was about 5th grade. And she's like, oh. And, she's in 5th grade. And I said, why? I said, do you want to shave your legs? And she's like, I don't know. And so I looked at her legs and, my eyesight's not that good anymore.
Right.
And I was looking down. I'm like, Olivia, do you even have hair on your legs? And she's like, maybe a little. And so I really bent down and looked. And it's like, she's basically hairless. I didn't even see anything.
Is she shaving already?
No, she's not.
Oh, okay.
I said, she's like, why did you shave your legs? I said, I just remember standing with a group of friends and looking down and suddenly being aware that I had hair on my legs and I didn't like it. It bothered me, and I said, I think that's when, girls notice this is not okay to have hair on my legs. And
yeah, you feel socially unacceptable.
So I shaved it. Of course, Grandma was very mad at me, as per usual. And so
yeah.
I said, I think she noticed 2 weeks later. She's like, did you shave your legs? And I'm like, yeah. And she's like, well, don't you think that's something you should have asked first? I'm like, probably, but shit happens.
Yeah.
So
I shaved my legs because a boy walked by me when I was sitting and called me and told me I had gorilla legs. And so I was terrified.
Assholes.
Oh yeah. I went home that night and asked. I don't know if I even asked. I just did it because I'm like, that's not. And I am hairless compared to some people, but because he is a little asshole fuckbag, he decided to point that out to a girl. What happens to those guys? I wonder as they grow older. I hope that they're gifted with 4 girls and a wife who's really, really, I don't know, critical.
They probably grow to be domestic violencers and alcoholics with, they're the kind of guys that peak in high school.
It was middle school. What kind of guys?
So I asked her, I'm like,
school?
well, do you feel self-conscious about, what little hair you have on your legs? And she's like, not really. And I said, well, if you ever feel it bothers you or, a boy walks past you and glances at your legs and you suddenly feel like you want to hide them because there's hair on them. I'm like, well, then, we'll talk. But
yeah.
I said, I think it's fine. I'm like, honestly, I don't see anything at all.
Shave.
But really, I said, but I'm like, please don't do it on your own. I said, let's talk first. I'll show you.
Yeah.
And, we'll go from there. But I said, I'm not opposed to anything that, you want to try. So I don't see a big deal about it. But I mean, literally, her legs is like shaving toothpicks. She could do it in one fell swoop.
Well, thanks for keeping us up to date on the perils of parenting middle school children. Nature will find a way, just like it has at my house. Because I told you a couple of days ago. But do you remember a long time? I think it was almost 10 years ago, maybe less, when that town in the Bay Area, there were explosions all over a neighborhood and caused fires and people died. And it was because there were PG&E flaws in the gas lines. Do you remember that?
I don't.
Okay, it did happen. I have a friend who her parents lived there. They survived and they didn't have any significant damage, but it was very close to where they lived. And they knew people who lived there because she's from that area in the Bay. Anyway, when that happened, obviously there was a call to action like, hey, we need to make sure that all of our gas lines are up to code and they're not erratic, they're not falling apart in all of these neighborhoods because, people died. So we had the county come out and they were checking all of our lines. And this was probably earlier this year, before the pandemic even started. And they were checking everything. We had flags and spray paint everywhere. And everybody's like, what the hell's going on? And then they came to our door and said, yeah, so there's some fatal flaws in the pipes for your gas in this area. And so we need to come and repair and retrofit everything. And so this has been going on for 2 months. And then they said, yeah, it was worse than we thought. So we're going to be here till the end of the year.
Oh my God, the end of the year?
There is no less than 12 vehicles at any time. Our street's been blocked off and on for months. It's loud. There's jackhammering. There's, drilling. There's all kinds of stuff. They have completely torn up our lane in front of our house. both sides of our house have big holes where they go down like 7 feet or 8 feet down to the pipes. It's also not safe work, so for the last couple of days, we've had no gas, we had no hot water, stuff like that. And it's just a minor inconvenience. It's no big deal, but we're trapped. So if we want to leave, we've got to climb over what looks like a missile testing site to get to our cars, which are parked at the end of the road, so that we can come and go as we please. But anyway, my point is that's inconvenient, but here was the underbelly of it that nobody even considered. All the wildlife, because where I live, it's by the river, and there's easements everywhere, and colonies of all kinds of creatures: skunks, possums, coyotes, deer, rats, which we did not know about. So,
oh God.
A couple of months ago, Sonny, who's blind and deaf now, he still can smell them, so he was constantly digging and barking at our tool shed. And we're like, oh, Sonny. Now, he killed a rat last year, but it was one, and it was tiny. And so, anyway, so earlier a couple of months ago, Sasha treed a rat. There was a rat running around by the tool shed, and she chased it into one of these little sapling trees that we have, and she just sat there with it and tried to get to it, but couldn't. So Daryl had to come out, and he beat it with a bat. I think I told you that.
I think so, yeah.
So we started noticing, and I'm like, what the hell is going on? Like, what is happening with the rat thing? Because that's terrifying. And so we started.
Oh, they must live underground.
Well, they created a home under the shed, but in the back where we can't get to them. And it backs up to an easement. So there's nowhere to go but out to the easement or under the shed. So it was like a perfect house for them.
I'm telling you, toss some bologna with antifreeze on it underneath there.
The other day, I was sitting out in my little area where we have these bought these new outdoor furniture chairs, and we were sitting out there, and I'm like, why do I smell pee? And I turned and I looked down to the side, and there was rat poop everywhere. And I was like, okay, I'm done. So I said, we're dealing with this today. So we cleaned everything, bought rat traps, and put them up. Paula, less than an hour, we caught the biggest motherfucking rat I've ever seen in my life.
What'd you do with it?
It was so big that the rat trap didn't kill it. And so Daryl had to kill it. And then we then we got another one an hour later. I was like, if we continue catching rats, I'm leaving. We are coming. You got to hire John Goodman to come in here and eradicate this place. I don't want to have any. I wouldn't go outside. I was terrified.
Well, you need like a legit exterminator.
Right. He goes, I will set up these traps. If we catch even more, then we will call an exterminator immediately. And I said, okay. So we set him up. We got one more. And then Sasha killed one. In total, we killed 5 rats. And we have not had one since at all.
Disgusting.
Paula, I was traumatized. I said, I don't know. You hear about, they hang out in dirty areas or whatever. And I was doing some extensive research on the rat situation. Apparently, and when Daryl went back to buy more rat traps, they were cleaned out. Home Depot and Lowe's had none.
Really?
And when we bought ours, there were a bunch. And I said, well, let's just buy like 2 and, whatever. And he went back to buy more and they were cleaned out. We had to order them on Amazon and it took 3 days to get them. So
that's disgusting.
When I looked it up, they said that because the schools are closed and because the restaurants are modified, rats are going out to suburbia looking for food because they're hungry. And they can't, and they keep making babies and stuff, so they need food. So we've eliminated the food. They can't get to any. There's no dog food anywhere anymore. We've killed it off, and so far so good. But it was traumatizing. And there's a skunk roaming around because its home has been dug up by the workers. So it has been insane. I'm like, I know when I tell Paula this, she's going to be like, get a fucking exterminator, enough with this.
Exactly.
And I'm like, I know. And I'm agreeing with you. And I said, if I get even an ounce of a hint that there's anything else, we're calling a professional. I'm done. I don't care.
You just have to be careful because what if one of the dogs get bit or something?
Well, Sasha
scratched.
Right.
I know, but I mean, I know she's current on her rabies shot, but they have other things,
I'm just like, I didn't.
You just don't want her to get some kind of fucking weird worm or something like that.
I know, right? And every time I hear her out there, I'm like, and we're so paranoid now. We're like, oh my God. But so far, nothing, thank goodness. But still, it has been traumatic, to say the least. I'm like, no, I don't live. And here's the one thing, and I've talked about this before on the show. Something happens to Daryl when he's dealing with this. Like something clicks off of him, and he is completely unemotional. He just deals with it, and he's like okay with it. It's like he's Pa Ingalls.
He could have he could have been a doctor. Well, no, actually, never mind.
No, he could not.
He could have been a veterinarian.
Probably. It's the craziest thing. He has no problem putting a rat out of its misery. He's like, the thing was suffering. I had to deal with it. And I'm like, I know, but this isn't the first time you've quote unquote put something out of its misery. Like possums and raccoons and skunks and, rats now.
Well, I mean, men kind of are good about that stuff. Like if there's just a situation, they just handle it,
I don't know if all men are like that. I told Malia, we were talking about it because he went out to take care of this giant rat. And I said, your dad is savage. And I go, and here's the thing. I'm not saying that he shouldn't be, but if you know him and you look at him, you would never think in a million years, this is the guy.
You wouldn't expect it.
You would not expect this to be the dude who can take care of it. There are guys that look like they've been playing football their whole lives and wouldn't dare deal with a mouse. So
it's a whole fight or flight mentality.
It's really unusual. Yeah.
Daryl's not a flighter.
He is not a runner. He's not a runner. He's like me. We fight.
Oh, God.
We do not. Anyway, so.
For sure.
I don't know, man. I'm hoping that we're done with it, though.
I hope so too. God, that's terrible.
I know. Although I was really proud of Sasha for killing. It was her first kill.
Yeah, good for her.
I praised the hell out of her. I'm like, you are such a cool girl. Yes, you are. I'm like, but don't you kiss me. No, no, no.
Gross. Yeah, really.
There will be no kissing. Okay, really quick before we go to our ugly and awkward moments. Do you have one?
I do.
Okay, good. Me too. So, yeah, Eddie Van Halen died of cancer at 65. He had a head and neck cancer, I believe.
Well, so this is what I read. He actually got diagnosed with cancer about 20 years ago.
Yeah, he had tongue cancer.
He had tongue cancer, which I'm not exactly sure how one gets tongue cancer.
Smoking.
I mean, he did say he did smoke and do drugs and everything like that.
Alcoholic.
I didn't get the sense that he was like a chain smoker or anything like that.
He was.
Okay, I thought he just was doing like a ton of shit. You know what I mean?
Well, he
not to mention, God knows what kind of pussy he was looking back in the day. So
he was a significant alcoholic, which can definitely contribute to if you have I assume, environment and behavior is obviously one of the factors of being diagnosed with cancer and smoking. So that's what they primarily attribute it to, but. He started to clean up his act, stuff like that. But it was funny because it's one of those ones, and I don't know if you're in that generation or because you're almost 10 years younger than me. So I don't know how like Van Halen. I don't know if that was a thing for you when you were a kid, like it was for me and Stephanie.
Because I was the youngest, I was basically at the mercy of whatever you guys listened to or did.
Yeah.
So my taste in music is always 80s, early 90s stuff.
That's what we were
That's what you guys listened to. So I always I listened to, Poison, Def Leppard, Guns N' Roses, Warrant, Skid Row, Motley Crue, Van Halen, all that stuff.
Yeah. So Van Halen, I've had a love affair with Van Halen since I was like 11 because my introduction to Van Halen was, you were not big enough to remember, but we had an amazing babysitter, and I'm actually friends with her on Facebook now.
I'm like, which one?
Her name's Rhonda, and she was
the one
coolest,
that didn't marry dad.
No, she was the coolest, prettiest girl I'd ever met in my life, and she babysat us. She had two brothers. Oh. One was my age, and one was a little bit older than me. Now, the little bit older than me had no interest in me whatsoever, but her brother, my age, liked me. And so when she would come over to babysit, she would bring him so that we could, play, because we were 11 and 12-year-olds, So as you know, our parents are very, very, very restrictive on what music we can listen to and what we can have and what we can watch. So their family wasn't. And so he brought over Van Halen 1 to let me listen to. And Van Halen 1 was 1978. So it hadn't been out that long. And Jamie's Crying is on it. And he's like, oh, you have to hear this song. It's got your name in it. And I said, okay. So we were listening to it. We listened to Eruption. We listened to the entire album. And by the end, he was so entranced with me while we're listening to this album. And we had bunk beds in the room that I was sleeping in. We were sitting on the top bunk. And he kicked out the screen window while we were listening to this album in my room. And I remember that so vividly, going, this is the best album I've ever heard in my life. It was so different than anything I'd ever heard. Eruption was, mind-blowing. Mind-blowing. So from that point on, I owned every single Van Halen album once I was able to get my own.
Yeah.
I finally saw Van Halen live in like 91.
You saw them live?
Yes, I saw them with with Sammy Hagar, so it was Van Hagar is what we call it. So
I always liked David Lee Roth better.
Of course, yeah. I never got to see him. That was the only bummer, but it was a little before my time. I was too young to be able to see that, but I was able to see Sammy Hagar. I was 20, so I went.
Mean, he's still good, but
excellent. So went. I was pregnant when I saw them.
Classy.
Yeah, I know. You know what? I stood in the back. I didn't drink or anything. I just stood in the back. And it was at that time where I'm like, I'm not letting anything change my life. So I went.
How pregnant were you?
Like 4 or 5 months. So I went.
God.
It was so loud.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow, they're really loud. Unusually loud. And I was way in the back. I could barely see. But
they were just loud because you're just like, you had that moment where you're just like, I really shouldn't be here.
I don't belong here. Exactly.
Yes.
Actually, what's funny, aside from that, seeing Eddie Van Halen play live in person was amazing.
Unbelievable,
amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, seeing Sammy Hagar was also great, but Eddie was the band. And so it was so cool to see that.
Well, and they'll always let him bust out in a solo, and he'll riff for like 5 or 10 minutes or something like that, and it's insane. His fingers are just nuts.
I'm just so grateful that I was at that age where I was able to enjoy them live, because I have some regrets on people that I never saw live during the time period when I could have. Luckily I saw Prince live.
Yeah.
Stuff like that, but there are some, like I never saw. I didn't see Tom Petty live, even though I kind of wanted to see him. I saw their opening act, and then we left. I wanted to see the Black Crowes.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because I wanted to see the Black Crowes, and they were opening for Tom Petty, and so I did. But the level of age that was there to see Petty, where they were like a bunch of old hippies, and I was like, this is so not my scene. I felt weird about it, so I left. But I do regret that, actually, because Stephanie has seen them a bunch.
You just don't realize at the time, like, what you have or what you're seeing. Yeah, like, see, I'm regretful. But see, the problem is I was really young, too.
You were young.
But I was regretful that I didn't actually see original Guns N' Roses. Like, I really wish I could have seen that. But see, I don't think I was ever even old enough to do that.
I was 19 when I saw GNR with
so
them.
I would have been 11. So I mean, that was obviously never going to happen.
It was not a safe environment even for someone my age there. It was not good. But it was amazing to see them, but it was still like it was a pretty rough
And I finally saw Def Leppard, but I mean, it was like 3 years ago. So I mean, that they're old as fuck now. But I mean, it's still a good show. But I mean, it wasn't like But I think original Def Leppard was probably pretty tame anyway. I can't imagine that they were.
I wish that I could have seen Journey with Steve Perry, but that was before my time.
Yeah, me too. I hope I do get the opportunity to, and I don't care if Axl Rose weighs 400 pounds. I still hope I get to see him and Slash play together.
Slash is amazing live. He's like a fucking rock god. He looks like a video game character. He's so tall and lean, and he's so damn good.
I follow him on Instagram, and he always posts the most salacious cartoons I've ever seen. They're disgusting, but it makes me laugh.
All those aged rockers are badass. I follow a lot of them. Nikki Sixx is amazing.
I'm kind of sad that I didn't know more about like Chris Cornell.
Oh yeah. Okay, Safe Home, Eddie.
Yes,
you definitely will be remembered. Those artists that leave an indelible impression on generations, you never forget. I mean, I don't know how anybody feels about leaving behind a legacy, but he definitely did and does. So, and I'm bummed that he got sick, but you live hard, die young sometimes, I think. It makes me sad. But
It is
anyway,
sad.
life goes on, unfortunately.
Well, yeah. I mean, I think, well, not that it's good news, but it sounds like it wasn't terribly unexpected.
It
so-
wasn't. It wasn't. And you know what? They did an amazing job protecting him from the horrific press. Because, you know, in this day and age, everybody wants the death photo. They want to see the sickly, dying people. And they just did not allow it. And I think that's a testament to how much they loved him.
Do you know he lost like 40% of his tongue or something like that?
Yes, I did.
That's insane.
Yeah.
You know what's okay, this is a typical guy. He thought he got cancer because he held a metal pick in his mouth for almost his whole career. I'm like, of course. Complete denial of the truth.
It can't be because you
He's
drink
just like, you know, he's
smoked.
like, I held a metal pick and it's got all sorts of like, you know, metal, like, you know, geranium or
I'm sure
petroleum or whatever. And, you know, plus those studio rooms have all sorts of microwaves and things like that. I think that's how I got it. They're like, sure, sweetheart, sure.
Had nothing to do with the booze or the
It had
cigs.
nothing to do with the booze, the smoking, and the, you know,
The
diseased
constant pussy eating,
you
but
licked
okay.
for, you know, from 5,000 women. Right.
Oh God, that makes me sick. It's like you need to ask them if they'd be willing to wear dirty jeans without underwear on for 3 days.
Yeah.
Before
Here,
you do
we have
that.
a quiz we want you to review.
Go through this and then consider going down on that bitch. All right, here we go. All right, well, let's do some ugly and awkward moments of the week.
What prompted the whole leg hair discussion between Olivia and I is
Yes.
I hadn't shaved my legs in I don't know how long. There was no point. I wasn't going anywhere, and I just didn't care. And I'm just like, why am I going to keep shaving my legs for no reason? So I just let it all go for a long time.
I can't do that, but I hear you.
Well, I just didn't care, and so
I know.
Eventually, I think it was hot and I was going to go somewhere and I had shorts on. And I'm like, well, I guess I should shave these bad boys. Well, if you haven't shaved your legs for a long time,
Yeah.
it's a process. And, you know, you're in there for a good half an hour because, you know, you've got to like shave, rinse, like really rinse and like make sure you're like flicking the blades to make sure all the
You can't
the hair
miss a
is
spot.
off. You can't. Well, you just have to. The razor has to be super clean every shave,
And you can't if you don't and you have a thatch of hair, it's clearly obvious.
Exactly. So
Yes.
I was in there. I was being very thorough, and you know, every swipe, you know, the shaving cream was gone. So I was like, I was trying. You know, I thought I was pretty slick like a dolphin. And when I got out and I was sitting there on the couch and I had my knees curled up and I looked down, I had like a 3-inch wide strip and like a 4-inch tall strip of just leg hair. And I'm like, what the fuck is this shit? And I'm like, I shaved you. And so Olivia's like, what is that? And I'm like, it's my leg hair. And she's like, I thought you shaved your legs. I'm like, well, so did I. And you know, because I can't see anything anymore and it's kind of dark in the bathroom.
Yeah.
I'm just like, well, apparently just because you glide over something with a razor and the shaving cream disappears doesn't mean the hair is leaving as well if your
Apparently
razor
not.
isn't clean enough. And so I'm like, well, note to self, just don't let it all go. But that's when we were talking about like her leg hair compared to my leg hair. And she's like, well, will mine be like that? I'm like, well, if you start shaving, it will be. And so
it gets thicker.
I said, but Olivia, I'm like, believe me, I said, as far as women are concerned, I'm like, this isn't even that hairy. I said, I've tried to have my legs waxed like once, maybe even twice. And they always tell me to come back 2 weeks later. And I'm like, if I come back in 2 weeks, it's going to look exactly the same.
Yeah, we're not dealing with a thicker
If you
coat.
can't wax me today, I just
Then
can't
you
be
can't
waxed
at all.
I'm just not waxable.
It's like, have you ever heard of a Gillette lady? What are those things called?
What?
The garage sale thing.
Oh, the epilady.
Yeah, ever heard of an epilady? You might want to try that.
Right. So I'm just like, it's there. But I said, but there are women who are just downright hairy, like
real
dad's
thick.
chest hair.
Yeah,
hairy.
you need to get that shit waxed.
I said, we're not hairy people, Olivia. I'm like, we're just not.
We're just
and
not.
so it might be
the
the
Native
Native
American.
American. Exactly. So
Yeah.
anyway, so that's why I'm like, I think you have less hair than I did when I was growing up. So I think.
Yeah, I don't remember your legs. I don't remember taking.
Well,
a big
I remember
study.
having hair. Otherwise, I
You
wouldn't
never
have.
would have shaved.
Well, I wouldn't have had anything to shave. I mean, I literally look at her and I had to look. I'm like, do you even have like follicles or
Basically,
the
rule of thumb is this, and this is what I told the girls. I said, you can shave if you want to, but the time you need to, look, you want to live your own life, do whatever you want. But in this house, if you got pit hair, it's being shaved. Right. If they want to move out and be free, you go right ahead. But in this house, we maintain the hair under our pits. Sue me. So I said, if you get a hair under your pit, shave it and then look down. My guess is your legs will go, help us, shave us and free us. Because, that's when you'll see the darker, longer hairs where even if you have blonde hair, you'll see them and go, okay. So generally speaking, underarm hair equates to leg shaving. But right. That's just been for our children. Every kid is different. But
like I said, I just remember becoming aware. Whereas before I was just like, I didn't really pay attention. But then suddenly I was just like, it's just that feeling of like when you wear shorts and it's just a little too cold that day. And you're just like, you feel your legs and it's just like, it's cold. Yeah. That's kind of how I felt about leg hair. Like suddenly I was just like, wow, I'm like, I feel unusually exposed. And I don't know why.
It's true.
So
your awkward moment is you missed a big patch of hair.
Yeah, I looked like I had one of those weird birthmarks.
I wonder if we can get are there such thing as shower glasses? So you can put like magnifiers on in the shower that won't fog up, so you can see better when it's coming to shaving your legs and stuff.
Yeah, really.
Wouldn't that be helpful?
Shower focals.
Yeah, there should be some kind of shower spectacles that you can put on so that you can see.
I saw the dumbest meme post the other day. This woman, she's like, I think it'd be really cool if there was this thing where kids could rent books, read them, and then send them back and get new ones. She's like, that would be so awesome. And the person's like, it's called a library. I'm like, have we really evolved so much that people have forgotten what libraries are?
Oh my God. I used to love going to the library. I did. I think they're great little places. They used to be. I don't know what they're like now. I haven't been in a long time, but
the kids or Victor and Ryan do it a lot, but they just rent the Audibles. So
yeah. I like libraries. I think they're really important. I really do. Okay. Here's my awkward moment. So I don't profess to be a professional, but I would say in general, I'm fairly skilled at cooking. Things taste good. People eat what I make. They give me compliments and whatever. It's because I cook a lot. So it's a weird thing, but and I'm sure you would agree that it is a source of pride to never set off your fire alarms. If you set off a fire alarm when you're cooking, it's usually a sign of bad cooking.
I haven't done that in ages. And if I have, it's mostly because I don't have the best pans.
Right.
Or, I have poor ventilation, and it's not, and it's usually because I'm making hamburgers in a pan or something like that. Not because I'm using
a lot of steam and things going off.
Yeah, it's not. It's like I used to live in this apartment where when I took a shower, it set off the fire alarm.
Oh, that's dumb.
Yeah, right. It's not a smoke issue. It's just a whatever issue.
In my house, I have great ventilation, high ceilings, no big deal. But I haven't set the fire alarm off in, I can't even remember, if ever. Long time. And so I'm making food for Daryl and I to eat. And he doesn't, he could, but it's everything's a big sweeping event for him to grill for me. So I have a grill pan. So I pulled the grill pan out and I'm like, I'm just going to grill these little strips of Korean steak. And it's yummy over rice. And so I'm just going to cook those really quick. And I'm making all this food. And Daryl goes, hey, you should probably turn the vent on if you're going to use the grill. And I said, yeah, I will. Whatever, fine.
Yeah, thanks for the pointer.
I didn't do it because it was only going to be less than 5 minutes. And so I was just like, I'm just going to do it really fast anyway, whatever. So I'm doing it. And all of a sudden, the fire alarm goes off. And he goes, is that the fire? And I go, what is that? He goes, the fire alarm. And I was like, oh, okay. Paula, every single fire alarm in the house went off.
Oh my gosh.
We have 6 of them. And they all went off and he's like, I can't find them all. Where's the alarm?
Yeah, usually there's just one and you just you wave a towel at it or something and open the doors. You guys have a big house. That's
it is big. So the one in the bedroom, upstairs in the hallway, There's 2 downstairs at least. And I mean, everything started, and I'm just standing there. It's like, it sounds like a choir of alarms going off.
Are they connected or something?
No, they're not connected. And so I said, fine, I guess I'll turn the fan on. And so
Jesus.
I could not believe it. I couldn't believe it. I'm like, every time I get flippant about advice, I get bitten in the ass by my attitude quickly. So I was like, yeah, whatever. And then immediately I'm like, well, I guess I'll turn the fan on. I turned the fan on.
I wouldn't acknowledge shit. I'd turn it on, but I wouldn't say a effing word. And if someone tried to say something to me, it'd be like I said, I'm like, yeah, I heard you. And I chose not to. I'm doing it now, but so what? Fuck off. Get out of my kitchen.
So anyway, yeah, it was awkward though. Because I hate being humbled. I hate it.
I just choose not to be. I'd be like, yeah, you said it, so what?
Well, he didn't say, I told you to put the fan on. He didn't do that.
You know, it was your choice to believe you were being humbled. I choose not to accept that.
Okay. Well, that's an alternative reality. That is true.
That's probably why I'm going to be single for the rest of my life. But, that's all
but
right.
I was annoyed at myself anyway, because I'm like, I can't believe this. And I'm like, and then so my retort is, it's not even smoky in here. He's like, I know, right? And then suddenly he's on my side. He's like, I kind of want to eat that food, so.
He's always going to be your number one fan.
I hope so. God. Anyway, actually, he's not. You guys are my number one fans, but he's he's an athletic supporter. So.
He's an athletic supporter.
If you can't be an athlete, be an athletic supporter. I love that show. Anyway, so those are our awkward moments.
Well, good for you. I hope the food was good and it wasn't burnt.
It wasn't burnt.
Some things just, especially if you put certain like glazed sauces on them, they smoke really bad. I don't even understand it. Like I said, I wasn't swimming in a sea of smoke. That's why I didn't think anything would happen. And then they all went off. But you know what? We didn't have the air conditioner on. It was like 80 degrees in the house because I was cooking. I know, it was really hot. And I think the temperature and then any slight smoke on top of it, all the alarms freaked out thinking maybe there was a fire. That's the only thing I can think. I think they must be connected because there's no way that...
Maybe
that the ones upstairs would have recognized that,
It was insane.
Maybe they're like sound connected or something. Or
the only thing that didn't happen was Sonny didn't freak out because he can't hear anything anymore. Because usually when the alarm goes off, he's like, whoop, 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 whoop.
Well, he was probably just excited because something smelled good.
Probably. That poor dog.
I know.
I love my dog. He's such a good boy.
He is cute. All right. Well, I think that's it for today. So we will see you next Sunday, friends. All right. Bye.